West Ham really know how to ruin your weekend, don't they? I think I prefer it when it's the late kickoff, Monday or late on Sunday afternoon. Or at least you've got to enjoy your weekend there. The early fixture on Saturday just leaves it all feeling rather glum, really. I am recording this, let's see, probably about an hour and a half after the final whistle on what was a massively disappointing result. Certainly first half, and not overly impressed with a capitulation after we'd drawn it to 2-2 either. I just feel that we got to a point where the injuries, I just felt they really told, they came back. We thought we battled well to go through them all. The loss of Rice and the loss of Antonio in particular. And, obviously Ogbonna came back, but then for Cresswell to go down and at the same time for Masuaku to go down was, and I know he was culpable against Leicester, but he does attack well and he does carry a threat and he does, in that respect, pin the opposition back. Also, Masuaku, when he's sort of trapped, he'll have 2 or 3 players around him. He's got a dribble and he can get out of it. And so that was quite difficult for Johnson today. And the clearance off the line was absolutely great. I thought there were a couple of times he put some good crosses in as well. But ultimately, I think when you've got that many players out, it just becomes a complete hindrance to the team. And don't forget, for so much of the season, when Aaron Cresswell's been going forward, it's been Declan Rice that drops in and covers. I also felt that in that first half in particular, when we were struggling to break them down, I thought Declan Rice was probably the type of player that would drive the team forward. Often he'll take the ball and he'll just drive you forward 20 or 30 yards and just put you more into their half and give the opposition something else to worry about, because they didn't really have to overcommit on too many players. I think felt there was times when they were marking Jesse Lingard, with a couple of players, but by and large they could pretty much zonally stay in shape and not overcommit, which left space for other people. I don't like to criticise David Moyes too much. I don't think this is wholly his fault, because they were massive individual errors, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I did feel, and this is in hindsight, because I'll be fair, David Moyes, apart from Masuaku, I didn't know he was going to be injured, pretty much played the team that I wanted him to play. But when I looked at the team and how it was performing on the pitch, we just weren't opening them up enough. We really weren't. And I looked at it and I thought, well, actually, that's, as I said in the review, that's almost one too many. I would have preferred a creative player in there. And we've discussed Said Benrahma a lot on, I thought we all have, all the West Ham channels have, of course, but I felt today it was, I say today, it's obviously yesterday because I'm recording it yesterday. It was a lot to ask of him. And he didn't do particularly well when he came on, and neither did Manuel Lanzini. And I was sort of, I was a little bit gutted, I think, not to see Yarmolenko, because Yarmolenko is the type of guy that's going to have a long shot and almost curl it in from long range. And it's putting an awful lot of pressure on these players, particularly Benrahma, to say, right, okay, you now go and have to do something spectacular where everybody else has failed. And everybody else failed, including Jesse Lingard, who we can't keep relying on that guy to pull us through games. But we probably need to, because once you lose someone like Antonio, then you are totally dependent on somebody like that to do something, to pull you out of it. And he did. He did do really well with that penalty. He scored a goal, he got another goal, but he just couldn't really impact the game. He couldn't dominate the game in a way that he'd have wanted to. And I felt he needed a partner. And I know he played alongside Jared Bowen in that game, and Jared Bowen probably should have been his partner, but I felt it was quite evident reasonably early in the game, because I'd actually written it down on my notes, that he needed someone to play 1-2s with and stuff like that. So, I perhaps would have liked to have seen Benrahma or Lanzini in there earlier. And I mean in the first half. I know he wouldn't have made substitutions in the first half, but I just thought he's got the starting lineup slightly wrong. And I expected Moisey to know that, and for that to be sort of rectified at the start of the second half, but it wasn't, because by the end, when Benrahma does come on, or when Lanzini does come on, almost Lingard's too tired to do that sort of thing, the pass and move, the 1-2s, the triangles. Really, really difficult. And then I don't know what the situation is. This is one of the downsides of doing a video the day before and not waiting until the morning. I don't know what the situation is with Jesse Lingard's injury. I mean, that's all we need. If it is a hamstring, that's all Jesse Lingard needs. I mean, it ain't good. So we need to get some players back. We're obviously missing Dawson for the next game, and it was clumsy from Dawson and foolish. Let's be fair. His first touch, I'm talking. Look, the first card, the yellow card's a yellow card. Okay, fine. You know, whatever. I didn't actually mind the first yellow card. I thought actually it was quite a good professional foul. But bearing in mind you've made that professional foul, you've got to have the necessary awareness to know that you're walking on a tightrope. You've got to have the necessary awareness to know not to do it the second time. And he's been playing football long enough to know that that first touch was so atrocious and it's taken him into the player. He just should have stood up. By all means, try to make the tackle, but to go in like he did was wrong, because he should know that actually, he should have known, he should be experienced enough to know that he would have got a second yellow there, would have got a red card. I guess he must have been confident that he'd make the tackle, but it was a rush of blood to the head. Not very good at all. I mean, Fabianski, I said you had to feel sorry for him. When Lingard was going to take his penalty, it took ages to take the penalty, didn't he? And because the guy was injured, he was there with his hand over his eyes, Fabianski. It was really tough for him. I really felt for him. He was desperate for Lingard to score a penalty, which of course he did, and dispatched it really well, just to try and get him out of it. But it did. I said it in the review. It resonated with that Arsenal game when what was it? Declan Rice and Yarmolenko both made individual errors. I mean, to make double in a game, and a game like that, we really needed that. We needed 11 men on the pitch, and that was always going to be difficult after that. Fair play to them for coming back. I mean, really do. And even when they put the 8 minutes up, you thought, okay, well, this is a little bit of time for us to get back into it. But ultimately, they just outdid us, and that's a real shame. And Sam Maximum is a fantastic player, and we've obviously suffered at his hands before. Not an awful lot we can do about that now, but and here's the point I really want to get to. We can do this. We can still qualify for European football. But now we've got to do it the hard way. Now we've got to beat Chelsea. I think. Gio said in the review, draw against Chelsea. I think we've got to beat Chelsea. I do. And if we do, we're back on it. But to beat them, we've got to have some players back. There's a rumour Cresswell might be back for the next game. That would be crucially important. It really would. It really does highlight our need for reinforcements, and that's a video we'll look at in a day or two in terms of the upcoming window. This we're reflecting on a game here, ultimately a disappointing game in what has been an excellent season, and I'm not ready to write the obituary on the season just yet, because I do think we can pull it round. I do think that there is still some hope. I don't know what the situation is with Declan Rice. I mean, I guess he can't get back for the Chelsea game. Otherwise, we'd be hearing he's been training on the grass. We'd hear, wouldn't we? And clearly, he's not. So, can he come back for after that? Look, Everton ain't going to be easy. Brighton's not going to be easy. Maybe even West Brom won't be easy. I don't know. But now is the time to step up. I wonder. I don't think we got a bad attitude. I really don't. But I didn't feel that we started as quickly as we have in those other games. In the last 3 or 4 games, almost from the kickoff, we've gone really, really quick and gone at them. And I don't know whether that was our lack of intensity or whether that was because Newcastle sat so deep. But I mean, tactically, it worked out really well for them, because they do have that pace on the counter-attack. And it's really something I'd love to see more of with us. I don't mean defending or playing, like Newcastle did, but, with that raw pace, I do think it's a massive threat against teams. I think Steve Bruce will feel vindicated now. He'll be saying that had he have had Callum Wilson and Sam Maximum the last 10, 15 games, then that'd have been absolutely fine. He may even keep his job, as much as that would disgust the Newcastle fans. They will not be happy to hear that at all. look, ultimately a really, really bad day. Diop obviously got a goal, but it was so uncoordinated and clumsy the way that went in. I don't overly blame Diop for that because it should never have happened for the reasons that we discussed with Dawson. But it was clumsy. But a good goal from him. I don't want to say one step too far in terms of the bigger picture of the season, because I hope we can get players back and we can get people fit. But you felt for that number of people, for a few of the players, it was almost one step too far. It's a thin squad. We need reinforcements. I think he's going to have to shake it up. If we could get Masuaku and Cresswell back for the next game, I think it would make a hell of a difference, because I think you'd then have a sort of back three of Cresswell, Ogbonna and Diop, and you'd have Masuaku on the left. And I just think that would help things. It's going to be tough for Mark Noble as well. That's going to be 4 games in a row, and it's a lot. It's a lot to ask of him, because he really has stepped up magnificently. But I felt like a lot of the team, there was a bit of a drop off today. Although he was by far not the worst culprit at all. Anyway, rubbish, isn't it? Ain't that rubbish? How buoyant would we have been if we'd have won and we'd have been in thirds? I thought we would have put so much pressure on the other teams. But you know what? You'll know some results by now. That obviously I don't, because it's too early. I think it's only, the game's only been kicked off 45 minutes, and I haven't even checked on my screens. We'll know a lot more. I'll see you tomorrow, and I was going to say onwards and upwards. It just sounds like a cliche, because for the moment, it just feels really, really disappointing.